the Pro Bowl votes are out, and a Bengal is making a late push for a huge award. Welcome to the Bengals Digest channel. I'm Carson Lokey, and the Pro Bowl votes have finally come out, and let's take a look at who the Bengals have representing them in the Pro Bowl this year. Of course, makes sense that these three are going to the Pro Bowl. That is wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase, defensive edge Trey Hendrickson, and quarterback Joe Burrow. Each one of these guys obviously is leading the NFL in basically their own stats. Ja'Marr Chase right now is looking like he's going to win the Triple Crown. He leads the league in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Trey Hendrickson is now tied with Myles Garrett for sacks with 14.5. And Joe Burrow leads the league with receiving yards, passing touchdowns, and a bunch of other stuff that I'll be talking about later in this episode. But this has been a great year. Obviously, it's been a disappointing overall season for the Bengals, even though we're making a late push-off playoff run. But it's been a great year for some individual players, including these three. Ja'Marr Chase is having his best season of his career. Trey Hendrickson, his best season of his career. Joe Burrow, his best season of his career. Joe Burrow, this is his second Pro Bowl selection. Ja'Marr Chase, this is his fourth. He has gone to 4 Pro Bowls in 4 years, and this is also Trey Hendrickson's 4th Pro Bowl selection. So a great year for these individual players. There's 2 other alternatives the Bengals have. Chase Brown is a third alternative for the running backs, and offensive tackle Orlando Brown is a 4th alternative for the offensive tackles for the Pro Bowl. Great for Orlando Brown. Didn't even play most of the season. He still got to appear as an alternative. And Chase Brown with only 14 carries, in the first 3 weeks is also an alternative for the Pro Bowl as a second-year player drafted in the 4th round. So he's been doing outstanding for the Bengals. Outstanding. Almost, I think he might actually be now past the 1,000 rushing yards this season, which is insane. 14 carries in the first 3 weeks, and he still reached 1,000 yards. Insane year by some individual players for the Pro Bowl. But what I want to talk about is not the Pro Bowl. Congratulations to these 3 players that are going to be in Orlando for the Pro Bowl, unless by magic Cincinnati makes the playoffs, makes a playoff run or the Super Bowl. Would rather see these 3 in the Super Bowl rather than the Pro Bowl, obviously. But what I want to talk about is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been playing lights out, and you can argue with a wall. He's the best quarterback in the league this year without a single doubt. And usually, the best quarterback in the league wins the MVP. Yes, I'm talking about the MVP. And I'm going to be talking about why I think Joe Burrow should win the MVP. There's 4 candidates really for the MVP, but I think the main 3, there's only 3 players that could win, and that's Josh Allen, that's Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. Saquon Barkley was close up there with his historic season, but it's MVP and like the Heisman outside of this season for college football. They're both kind of turned into quarterback awards, but I think there's 3 that could win. Josh Allen, he's the favorite right now. Then second best odds are Lamar Jackson. Third best odds are Joe Burrow. I'm going to talk about why I think it's clear Joe Burrow should win the MVP. Let's jump right into it first. Let's look at the favorite, Josh Allen. Passing yards this season, 3,731. That's 5th in the league. Passing touchdowns, 28th. That's 6th in the league. Completion percentage, 63.6%. 25th in the league. Interception 6, a 1.2% interception rate. Josh Allen has been having a great season without a doubt. In my mind, they're most likely locked. They are locked for sure. Locked for the 2nd seed in the playoffs, and they're having a great season, especially with what was projected of them this season, losing Stephon Diggs, a lot of their playmakers on the offensive side, and Josh has made do with what he's got. Obviously, they got Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, the rookie that's looking outstanding. Amari Cooper traded from the Browns, is obviously adding help. But with what Josh Allen has been able to do this season with the team that is around him is absolutely not saying any of these players have had bad seasons. All of these players deserve the MVP, but I truly think, and I'm biased, you can call me a biased fan, but I truly think Joe Burrow deserves it, and I'm going to go more into that now. But at the beginning, all three of these players have had outstanding seasons, including Josh Allen, with what he has had around him this season. And these Josh Allen and Lamar Chase, this doesn't include their rushing yards. Both of them obviously very mobile very mobile quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson obviously being the most mobile quarterback in NFL history, which is why both of them are more favored than Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow doesn't usually use his legs as much as the other two. He doesn't. Well, he does need to because he's getting sacked most of the time, but he doesn't run. He usually just scrambles out of the pocket and throws on the run. Instead, these guys are more likely to use their legs. But I'm just talking about solely the quarterback play between these three and their passing ability. Next, we're going to look at Josh Allen. Great stats. 100% great stats. Now, we're going to be looking at Mr. Lamar Jackson, our divisional foe. Lamar Jackson, passing yards 3,955, sixth in the league. Passing touchdowns 39, second. Completion percentage 67.6%, 10th in the league in interceptions, 4. He has a 0.9% interception rate. Once again, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen have had great seasons. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, he has now the most rushing yards out of any quarterback in the league, surpassing Michael Vick. Lamar Jackson, if he were to win, this would be his third MVP and back-to-back MVPs, winning it last season. And I think this season would have been his best. This is his best season by far. This is the season before, and this is not me saying Lamar Jackson's a bad quarterback, but the MVPs before, I didn't think he really didn't deserve them, but he wouldn't. Like last year, my vote would have gone to Christian McCaffrey. But this season is his best season, which is why I think he is so far up there. Is like he's already won 2 MVPs. He is a generational talent at the quarterback position. He has changed the play style of quarterback. He's changed how most kids are being grown up, how they play the game. A lot of people are wanting to play the quarterback position how Lamar Jackson is playing. And this is his best season he has had in his career in the NFL. And if he wins, he deserves it. He has been playing lights out. But I think there's one player that deserves it above them all. Obviously, I've already said it multiple times, but I think Joe Burrow is the player that should win MVP. And just look at this. Obviously, we looked at both Josh Allen and Lamar, but let's look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, passing yards 4,641, first in the league. Passing touchdowns 42, first in the league. Completion percentage 69.6%, fifth in the league. Interceptions 8, 1.3% interception rate. You cannot tell me with those stats that Joe Burrow does not deserve the MVP. The only stat category that Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen doesn't have him. Both of them have Joe Burrow be on the interception rate, but they're all around the same. Joe Burrow is 1.3%, Josh Allen is 1.2%, and Lamar Jackson is 0.9%. And why I think Joe Burrow, his interception rate is a little bit more, is because he is obviously on an overall worse team with a defense that causes him to have to be throwing it nonstop. And that's the main argument against Joe Burrow. His stats are so high because he has to play the full game to the full ability that he can to win games, and I understand that. But he would have done this even without having to do that, even without having one of the worst defenses in the league, allowing the 5th most points per game. But that's why I think his interception rate is a little bit higher, is the fact that he has to make more plays than the other two to solely just win the game. And a lot of people are crucifying Joe Burrow because he has an 8-8 record and saying that he can't win the MVP because it has an 8-8 record. But if Joe Burrow can magically get the Cincinnati Bengals to the playoffs, 8-8, everything comes down to this last week for the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, they have to win against Pittsburgh this Saturday. They have to hope Denver loses to Kansas City on Sunday, and then they have to hope Miami loses to the New York Jets on Sunday as well. But if Joe Burrow can literally carry the Cincinnati Bengals on his back to the playoffs, he should win the MVP. They started the season 0-3. At one point was 1-5. 1-5. And once again, they were 4-8. When you're 4-8, you're looking like, oh, let's tank and let's go get the highest draft pick we can get. No, what did Joe Burrow do? They have won the last 4 games. The last 4 games they have won, going from 4-8 to 8-8 with a chance to make the playoffs in Week 18. The fact that this version of the Cincinnati Bengals is still alive in Week 18 alone for the playoffs is proof enough that Joe Burrow should win the MVP. Look at this. Let's just look at the stats already. Josh Allen, passing yards, 10th. What about Lamar Jackson, 6th? What about Joe Burrow, 1st? Passing touchdowns, Josh Allen, 28, 6th. Lamar Jackson, 39, 2nd. Joe Burrow, 42, 1st. Completions percentage, Josh Allen, 63.6%, 25th. Lamar Jackson, 67.9%, 10th. Joe Burrow, 69.8%, 5th. Interception rate, 1.2, 0.9, 0.3. Joe Burrow deserves the MVP this year. This is his best season of his entire career. Joe Burrow, I think he should win the MVP no matter what. But if he wills his way and the Bengals make the playoffs, after Week 18, the Bengals are the 7th seed playing in the playoffs after the season that they have had. Joe Burrow 100% deserves the MVP. Without a doubt in my mind. The most valuable player in the NFL to their team is Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow was out of the equation for the Cincinnati Bengals, we might be 0-12 or 0-14, whatever it is. Without Joe Burrow, we are not in playoff contention. Without a doubt in my mind. If we didn't have Joe Burrow, we would not be in the spot where we are this late in the season. If Joe Burrow didn't play this season, we would have been eliminated 5-6 weeks ago. Lamar Jackson, obviously Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are very valuable to their team, but I think the Cincinnati Bengals are a lot worse without Joe Burrow than the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens would be without Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. And that's what the MVP literally stands for. Most valuable player. Who is the most valuable player to their team? Joe Burrow. Without Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals are very, 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 very mid. Very mid. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, obviously great players having great seasons, and they're very valuable to their teams, yes. But Joe Burrow, the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, is the most valuable player to their team. 100%, without a doubt in my mind. And just look at these stats. Joe Burrow should win the MVP. Now, of course, reporters do their jobs, and they asked They asked Joe Burrow about this, especially after the Saturday night game last week when Joe Burrow led the Cincinnati Bengals in an overtime win against Denver. During the celebration, the Cincinnati faithful were chanting MVP, and they asked Joe Burrow about that chant, and this is what he had to say. They asked him if he heard the MVP chant. He said yes. Then he said, what do you think about that? And he said, I'll win one day. And then they followed up, do you think you'll win it this year? He said, I doubt it. Joe Burrow, coming from him, he doesn't think he's going to get it. He thinks he doubts he's going to win the MVP. He went on to say that because MVP has to win their division to win it. Obviously, he has a very high standard for himself, and he expects more from himself. And he thinks he should win the MVP when he's winning his division. But I disagree. I think he is the clear MVP winner. And I think there's another Cincinnati Bengal that should be winning an award as well. I think Jamar Chase should 100%. If he wins the Triple Crown, he is 100% should win Offensive Player of the Year. Most likely it's going to go to Saquon Barkley because he has rushed over 2,000 yards. I'm not saying Saquon Barkley doesn't deserve the award, but I think Jamar Chase, being 24 years old, likely to win the Triple Crown, without a doubt in my mind, that's the Offensive Player of the Year. Joe Burrow should be the MVP. Jamar Chase, and I'm about to go talk about in another video, Jamar Chase should be the Offensive Player of the Year. But thank you so much for watching the Bengals Digest channel. Stay tuned to this channel as I'm going to be breaking down the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh Steelers game, which is the most pivotal game in this season. If we win, we stay alive. If we lose, we're out of the playoffs. We got to win, and then we got to hope for a miracle the following day. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bengals Digest channel for your Bengals updates, rumors, trades, everything going down in Cincinnati is going to be here on the Bengals Digest channel. Like the video, comment on what you think or who you think should win the MVP. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Carson Lokey. Good night. God bless.